Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story in which Karen wants our OP to fire the supervisor of another park for ruining her weekend. OP, teacher, things can get worse. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. No, Karen, I'm not firing the supervisor. I'm a retired state park supervisor, so this story is from a while back. Every Monday, we had to turn in weekly reports at our headquarters. There are a lot of things we're supposed to turn in then, but the important one was our weekly financials. That is, account for how many camping permits we sold, rentals, picnic or beach passes, etc., and how much money we took in. We did one for each day and one for the week. I was known as being OCD about them, so mine were always right, and I'd often walk other park supervisors or assistants through any issues they had. On this Monday, I turned in my reports, no problems, and started putting in our supply order into the truck. That's when my boss came out and said, "Hey OP, can you stop by Dee's Park on your way back? She can't print out her financials." I replied, "Yeah, I'll see what I can do." The reason I was asked is that I used to be a systems admin and owned a computer shop before this, and our IT people were notorious for slow response times. As a result, I frequently got called first to see if I could fix it. I didn't mind because Dee was not just a friend of mine, she'd been my boss when I'd started, and I'd learned a lot about running parks from her. I stopped by and Dee was getting frantic. She told me that everything had worked until yesterday, and while she was able to put the information in, the system wouldn't pull up the report page for printing. I told her to show me what she did. She pulled up the browser to access our reporting system, and right away I saw the problem. "Why are you using Chrome?" I asked. Dee replied, "What? What do you mean?" "I just clicked on the icon to do my report," she said. Now I have no problem with Chrome or Firefox, but the official browser was Internet Explorer. The system we used for reports had browser-specific scripts, so you couldn't use any other browser. I explained this to Dee, and she growled. It turned out that yesterday her daughter and grandson had come for a visit, and while Dee had been out taking care of something, her daughter had decided to upgrade the computer by installing Chrome on it. Of course, one of the things it does is ask if you want to make it the default browser, and she'd clicked yes, hence the difficulty in printing reports. It was an easy fix. I just had to change it back, which I did. I then said, "Now try it," to Dee, and lo, the report popped up. She thanked me, and I said, "No problem. Glad it was a simple fix, but tell your daughter to not upgrade the work computers." I left the office and was headed to my truck when this woman came charging up to me, late 40s or early 50s, sort of chubby, blonde, short hair, a Karen. "Are you the park supervisor?" she said. I'm a park supervisor, but not..." That was all I got out. She proceeded to start yelling about how my park ranger had ruined her family's weekend. Now, this park didn't have a park ranger. She was talking about Dee. I tried to get a word in edgewise, but nope, she was on a tear about that bee. I realized I was going to have to wait her out. She proceeded to tell me all about how Dee had ruined her weekend while I started mentally adding up the various park rules and state laws this woman and her family had broken. By the time she wound down, I'd counted 5 park rules, 2 misdemeanors, and a probable felony, and thinking that Dee must have been in a forgiving mood. She finally ended with, "And I want her fired." I said, "I can't do that." She yelled, "Why the hell not?" I said, "Because she's the supervisor of this park. I'm the supervisor of a different park. I can say that I wouldn't have ruined your weekend." She said, "Really?" I said, "Absolutely. If you'd been at my park, I'd have had the police in to give you tickets and then evicted you. I'd have ruined your life." She stared at me for a second and said, "I'm going to call your headquarters about this." I said, "I'm sure you will when you get home." And then I smiled and in a cheery voice added, "Now have a safe trip." She huffed, turned around, and stormed back to her car. I waved as she left. As her car was disappearing, I heard laughter coming from behind me. Dee had come out of the office and had tears in her eyes from laughing. She said, "I can't believe you just did that." I said, "Well, I figured I should show her just how much worse it could get." Dee said, "I always thought people from my former park were exaggerating when they called you the supervisor from hell. I thought you were really easygoing, but I can see now why they called you that." I said, "I don't like doing it, but when the situation calls for it, Well, I released my inner a-hole. We laughed and I went back to my park. No, the Karen never called, or if she did, it never made it back to us. Screw her. Our parks are important not just for people to enjoy, but for nature to flourish as well. Following the rules is for everyone's benefit. It keeps our parks clean and safe so others can enjoy it too. Can't follow the rules? Get out. And our second story. Employee wanted a new truck. Hello, people of Reddit. My friend who works in construction told me this story, and I thought that I'd share it as it's super funny. So for your information, this happened in 2015. When the company had ordered 20 new fleet trucks, they were going good for everyone except for this guy, we'll call Bert. He somehow kept damaging the newer trucks. When he damaged his second truck, the supervisor kept complying and giving him a new truck as he asked for. Meet everyone. Bert, supervisor, mechanic. So to get into it, my friend tells me that at the company he works for, everyone is loaned a company truck. They're responsible for making sure that the truck is okay and that everything is going smoothly. When repairs are needed, you take it to the company mechanic and they take care of things. The supervisor handed everyone a key to their new truck and it went like this. Supervisor: Hey everybody, I'm sure as you saw today, our new trucks came in, so everybody line up and get a key to your truck. Everyone gets their key and goes forward to the work week. Then Bert came to the mechanic with his truck and he said, "It's feeling sluggish." Mechanic said to Bert 25 minutes later, Mechanic: Well, figured what's wrong with your truck. Bert: What's going on? Mechanic: Apparently you damaged the drive shaft. Bert: Oh wow, I wonder how that happened. Now, mechanic in his report said there was a lot of dirt under the bay of the truck. Since their new mechanic made the assumption that he likely went off-roading and damaged it. The company had 2 new spare trucks. Bert apparently came into supervisor's office and said, "Bert, I need a new truck." Supervisor: Wait, what happened to yours? Bert: The drive shaft is damaged. Supervisor: Okay, well, we have another truck you can borrow until yours is fixed. Just be more careful. Bert, with an unappreciative tone, said, "Fine," and later drove off. 3 days later, a AAA flatbed delivered his loaner to the yard. He apparently snapped the front left axle and sustained some bumper damage to the truck. Supervisor is pissed. Bert then comes into the office and tells supervisor, cue the malicious compliance, "Bert, I need a new truck." Supervisor: Yeah, I see, pointing to the flatbed with the truck on it. So supervisor gives him a new truck as he asked for, a 1989 Ford F-150. Bert: This truck isn't new. Supervisor: Yeah, it's new to you. Bert: Why can't I have a newer one? Supervisor: Well, you've damaged your first 2. You are extreme liability for us right now. Just be happy that we're giving you something. Bert, looking dissatisfied, says fine and drives away. 5 days later, the clutch was shot on the 89 pickup. The thing is, the clutch on the truck was fine. It was inspected before it was given to Bert, so now mechanic and supervisor were suspicious. Bert then came to supervisor's office and said, "Bert, I need a new truck." Supervisor: Yeah, I heard. Bert walks over to the last new truck on the lot. Then supervisor says, Supervisor: Follow me to the back lot. Bert follows. Supervisor then proceeds to take a tarp off a 1977 Ford F-150. The supervisor says to Bert, "Supervisor, here's your new truck." Bert looked disgusted, but he had to take it because supervisor wouldn't let him have one of the new trucks until his was fixed and paid to fix the clutch on the 1989 truck. Needless to say, Bert never broke his truck again. As the yard had an even older 1969 Ford F-100, Bert probably realized that if he didn't shape up his driving, that he would once again get a new truck. Also, Bert had a lot of experience in construction, so that's one of the reasons why he wasn't fired until 2 years later. That's why a lot of employers these days attach a GPS to every fleet vehicle. It's not always an option, but it's certainly something I'd do. I think dash cams are even more the rage, and much more sensible the way some people are acting. And our last story. They tried to force me to join an HOA. I live in a non-HOA, but an HOA near me has been gathering houses for some time now. On my street, maybe 10 of the 14 houses are non-HOA. So I move in, and within the first month, I get a visit from the HOA people. Apparently, the previous owner helped chip in for projects he thought would increase the value of his land. I didn't get any of that info when I bought the place, so I told them I wasn't interested in it. They tried to sell me joining, and I refused, so they came back a week or two later and tried a different tactic. Apparently, my neighbor is HOA. I live on a corner, so only one direct neighbor on my street. And they try to say eminent domain applies and I'll be considered as a member going forward. I tell them no, that's not how HOAs work, and I don't recognize any affiliation with them. So now they try playing hardball. They have a surveyor come out and survey my neighbor's land to make sure my fence, my white vinyl fence that they hate, isn't on his land. While doing this, they try to survey my land. I wasn't home, but my girlfriend was, and she told them to leave. They said the HOA paid them, but they did leave when she pressed on it. The surveyor came back and determined I was on my land and some of my neighbor's plants were actually on my land. Whatever, I don't care, so I let it be. Now, they try to enforce their eminent domain and come by to tell me I'm late on dues. I tell them I'm not paying dues since I'm not HOA. They argue with me, I tell them to leave, and they're no longer welcome if it's for HOA stuff. So they come back by one more time and try to give me some BS fines about my backyard. My backyard is fenced, and you'd have to be 7 feet tall to see over it. I checked the security cameras, and they opened my fence, came in, and looked at my backyard. So I called the police for trespassing and haven't heard from any of them since in exchange for dropping charges. I wouldn't have dropped charges. Letting them off is like David giving Goliath CPR instead of chopping his head off with his own sword. They didn't learn anything, and he'll pull that crap again. It's just a matter of time. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.